I'm going to tell you a little story. The songs Flossie's doing are on her solo album. I've got a kids album because we didn't sell many this afternoon. Was anyone at the kids show? You should have come to the kids show. It was mad. And I've also got a live album that was recorded at a festival in the UK that's got this story on it. I'll tell you this story just because it's one of my favourite true stories that's happened to me. There's a festival in the UK called Whitby Festival. Anybody been to Whitby? Yes. Oh, fantastic. Oh, well, then you'll relate to this festival. We're doing a lot of asking you guys questions, by the way. If you want to ask us any questions, that's absolutely fine. Feel free to put your hand up and ask, but it has to be in French. Anyway, first time Whitby's got a folk festival, which is a week-long festival, a week of fantastic dancing and singing and stuff. And it was the first time I'd ever been there. It was 2002, and I was booked at this festival all week, and I was driving across the North York Moors to get to Whitby. Beautiful summer's day, and I was in plenty of time, taking me time. Suddenly, just on the way into Whitby, I hit this massive queue of virtually stationary cars, and I thought, oh flip, it'll be caravans or tractors or something. But when I got to a certain point in the queue, I could see that the queue of cars became this like parabolic arc. And at the very front of the arc, what had happened was the police had done this thing that take over a lay-by, and there's a couple of police cars, and they do checks on the odd car that comes past. I guess you have something similar over here, just like spot checks. Well, there was a couple of little PCs, had the hairdryers out just to frighten people like me, but at the very front of the lay-by, there was this rotund police sergeant, and he was about this big, little chubby guy. But boy, did he love his job, because he had this kind of, he stood there, he was going, waving the cars past. Every now and then he'd put one of them in, just to let people know he was a policeman, waving the cars past. But every 7th or 8th car, instead of going like that, he suddenly went into overdrive, and it was like he became possessed, and instead of doing one of them, he suddenly went, and he'd pull the car in, and and the car would pull in, and the PCs would do whatever checks they did, and he'd go back to his. Now, as I've gradually moved up this queue, I'm a great kind of, great one for watching out for human nature and trying to find little idiosyncrasies in that. And I was thinking to myself, I bet everybody else in this whole queue of cars has got their fingers crossed on the steering wheel, thinking, I hope I'm a. But and when I started off, I was the same. I was thinking, oh, I hope I'm a. But by the time I got towards the front of the queue, I was thinking, you know what? I hope I'm a. I hope he pulls me in. I'd like to see what happens when he gets pulled in by. And I was going forward, thinking, I hope I get. And when I got to the front of the queue, I was one of them. So that wasn't a very good story, was it? It was a bit. But I just pulled in anyway. I thought I'll just pull in anyway. What can he do? He's hardly going to pull me in, because if he had, I wouldn't have had to. Anyway, so I just pulled in, and it was great, because I saw his face, and he was kind of looked, he was thinking he'd got his mind wrong, he was going. And so, trying not to laugh, I leaned across, and I wound my window down, and I said, I've got to get to Whitby Community College. Could you give me directions? Whitby Community College? And he looked so cross, I can't begin to tell you. He kind of went, ooh. And he suddenly started going, ooh. And he was getting faster and faster. And he had those chubby little cheeks like in a wind tunnel. And I'm biting my lip trying not to laugh, because I thought he was just going, no, I'm not going to tell you, no. But he wasn't. It was only when I glanced to the right, I realised what all the head shaking was about. Because all the cars that were behind me in the queue were gradually speeding up. And he was going, watching all these cars escaping down the road. And in the end, he had no other option. He had to give me directions. So he said, okay, sir, if you go down to the T junction and turn right, You come to a roundabout, take your second exit from the roundabout, and then your third left will take you to the community college. Now, if you can move on, please, sir. Some of us have got better things to do with our time. And he said that, and as I drove away, I'm disappointed to have to tell you, I didn't give any witty comebacks. And as I drove away, I thought of all the things I should have said to him. You know, about the body in the boot and how much I'd been drinking. Did he want a donut? Was he in the Village People? And all these things I could have said, but I didn't. I didn't say a thing. I just drove off and I thought, oh, there's not really a story there. And I forgot all about it until a week later. I'd had a fantastic week at Whitby Festival. A week later, I'm driving home on the same road. Obviously, I'm on the other side of the road now, but as I went past, they're still there, you know, doing the thing, and he's doing his... And I'm driving, and it was dangerous, but I kept watching to see if he would, and sure enough, every 7 to 8 car, and I drove about 7 or 8 miles out onto the North York moors. And more than anything else that happens this evening, this bit of this story is going to tell you what a sad, strange existence I lead. Because I'm 7 or 8 miles out, on my way home, and I suddenly found myself turning back. And I really didn't want to, I just wanted to go home. But I drove back, putting myself in another half-an-hour queue of traffic, hundreds of cars, just so I could sit and wait to see whether I would be a... Or if this time I might be a... And when I got there, this time, I was one of them again. But, and I suspect you've probably all figured this out, I just pulled right in again, nearly got his boots this time, he had to like jump back. And he had this frightened look of deja vu on his face. It was like, blue Astra car, guitar in the back seat, bald Geordie guy, and he looked so frightened. I opened the window and I said, did you say second exit from the roundabout? Or was it...